Chapter 9, Failing and Learning. He who ran away from his family early, lied about his age to become an ambulance driver, who was fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination and having no good ideas, who started and failed a cartoon series in Kansas City, who started several other businesses and failed, who drew an excellent mouse character and got it rejected because it scared off women, who lost his mother in a carbon dioxide accident in a house built to offer her a better life, whose workmen left to fight the Second World War, that transformed his studio into a tank repair artillery, who had a $4 million debt, who struggled to open his first fun fair for family entertainment, was Walt Disney, a person we regard as the symbol of ultimate success. Despite our best efforts, failure and pain invades our lives from time to time. It doesn't matter how self disciplined, focused, or positive we are, failure is an inevitable component of life. This being said, there is no better teacher in life than failure. True greatness mounts on a multitude of tiny and big failures. If you know someone who is very good at what she does, she went through a lot of failures to get there. When you learn to talk, you mispronounced some words. You babbled, and sometimes you confused words and meanings. Still, you didn't give up until you learned to talk. As a child, you never thought that maybe talking wasn't for you and never said a word again. Ironically, most of your failures come from bad standards you set for yourself. For example, if you say, I want to be the smartest on my team, that puts you in a fragile position where you lose control over the situation. You can't control how much others study or how talented they are at presentations. You'll be anxious, constantly in a fight with the world, and dependent on others. You choose a bad standard to measure up to. If you choose instead to say, I want to improve my presentation skills from good enough to very good, you'll be able to reach your standard without failing. Regardless of how others perform, you will be in control. Set your standards within your comfort zone to stop exposing yourself to unnecessary avoidable failures. Failure is a feeling that we all interpret in the same way, more or less. It is the devastating feeling of loss, anxiety, and sadness. The difference between us is how much time each of us needs to get over a failure. Some of us appear to magically deal with failure and will even smile the next day. Many toss and turn for weeks, contemplating why it happened. Others feel the need to talk about it all the time. While in contrast, some don't say a word with an apathetic stare. Sometimes people become angry if you try to help them after a failure. Generally speaking, you shouldn't take failures personally. Just because this time you didn't succeed, it doesn't make you a failure. In fact, this kind of event helps you to become more persistent, self disciplined, and wise. This is why it is crucial to approach failure analytically. Sometimes we are not as bothered by the failure itself as we are by what others might say about our misfortune. Let it go. Those who will identify you by your failures are insignificant people. Don't try to hide your failure. Taking a brave step of acceptance can bring you more respect than trying to sweep it under the carpet. Success doesn't come for free, but it tastes so much better when we reach it. So embrace failure, make peace with it, and learn and grow from it. Make peace with your previous failures if they still haunt you. Go to a place where you experienced a significant failure a few years ago. It can be your old school, a sports center, a workplace, anywhere. I personally went back to a Burger King restaurant, to a specific table where I had my very first breakup. When this event happened, I thought it was the end of the world and that I would never be okay again. For a few years, I avoided that place like the plague. But one day I decided to go back. I bought a burger and sat at the table. I was expecting to feel some sort of cathartic moment of liberation, but I felt nothing. I was long over it. I just nonsensically clung to the pain. Going back and having this realization was the moment when I could let go of my personal failure for good, keep the lessons learned, and move on. Facing a place where you once had a negative shock in the past can be sobering. Once you see that nothing is left there that embraces your pain, shame, or disappointment, you can heal. To leave the past and pain behind for good, write on a piece of paper every bad, sad, infuriating, unjust, painful, damaging feeling and thought you had at the place where you are. Tear the paper apart, burn it if you can do so safely, bury it, throw rocks at it, anything that will release you from any tension you still have. When you are done, leave. What are you holding on to that's holding you back? Did some people have a bad influence on you? Did somebody hurt you, cheat on you, or mistreat you? Do you feel frustrated about something? What's the first step you need to take to let it go? Cry it out, loudly and openly. If you keep it in, it can manifest in physical illness. Engage in a new activity, learn a new skill, or just introduce a physical habit into your life. Turning your focus to something new and enjoyable can build a bridge between a bitter past and a promising future. Do you feel anger? Don't try to avoid this feeling, rather, feel it fully. If you try to hide it or keep it in, it will burst out inevitably and may hurt innocent people. Then remind yourself that nothing lasts forever and neither will anger. Try to find what need hides behind your anger and where your responsibility lies. Are past relationships holding you back? Try to stop romanticizing the bond and face the facts. Make an unbiased list of good and bad things you experienced in this relationship. It will help you to see that more things weigh on the negative side, and that's why the relationship ended in the first place. There are always bigger fish and a better love. Don't make the mistake of convincing yourself that nobody will love you as much as the other person did. Do your best to love yourself as much as possible. When you learn to love yourself, you won't need the emotional validation from others so badly. Know that when the rain is over, the sun will always come out. If you know that something good will follow, you will let go much easier. My dad told me a story when I was lovesick. In ancient India, a girl asked her father to give her a gift for her birthday that would raise her spirit in times of sorrow and bring her back to earth where she is head over heels. The father acknowledged her request. For her birthday, she received a medal on which four words were engraved: "It won't last forever."